Right.
Super, danke dafür.
Great, it's nice to be here. I think we can shorten the introduction.
Ich glaube, es gab heute schon sehr viele
I
Vorträge
think we have heard a lot of presentations, and they talked about things that go well in projects. Well, and today I would like to talk about something else, a story on how you can maybe also do things in a bad way, learn from them, and how they can be helpful for a company such as MHP.
Wer spricht hier? Ich würde das sehr kurz halten.
So, to introduce myself very shortly, my name is Thorsten Hopf.
Architekt bei der MHP
I work as an architect at MHP.
Beschäftige ich mich aktuell mit Cloud-Themen.
I work with cloud topics. AWS is one core topic. If you want to watch me tweet very randomly or rarely, you can also follow me on Twitter or add me on LinkedIn or just approach me.
Worum geht's? Was haben wir gemacht?
So what do I want to talk about?
Fing es an, wie so häufig. Es gab einen Kunden.
It all started with one customer.
Der Kunde hatte eine Idee,
They had an idea.
beschrieben hat.
They had a rough idea about this
Ich
idea.
möchte ein Tool,
A rough description. They said,
meine Führungskräfte
we want a tool where I can evaluate my leaders, my
zu unterstützen.
management.
Führungskräfte kriegen
So
Feedback
management receive feedback, then they can see a report, etc. As always, not enough time, no budget,
und es soll natürlich super viel umgesetzt werden.
and many things have to be implemented.
Ja, wenig Zeit,
So,
soll günstig
no
sein.
time, must be cheap.
Lange Infrastrukturzyklen können wir uns hier nicht
Long
leisten.
infrastructure
Also
cycles
nutzen wir die
cannot be,
Gelegenheit,
are not affordable,
bauen wir die
so we
Applikation in der
seize this opportunity
Das Ganze war
and introduce a cloud.
2018.
So that was
Also,
in
da
2018.
habe ich persönlich meine ersten
I personally
größeren Schritte wirklich
Made my
in dem
first
Fall auf
great
der
strides
AWS-Plattform
at the
gemacht.
AWS platform.
Also, rein ins Abenteuer.
So into the
Wie
adventure.
gesagt, ganz kritisch. Wir haben wenig Zeit
So it was very
gehabt.
critical at the
Also,
beginning. We
Go
didn't
Live
have
sollte
much
sein,
time.
kurz
Go
vor
Live was
Weihnachten.
shortly before
Angefangen haben wir das
before
Projekt
Christmas in
Mitte,
December.
Ende
We started
Oktober.
in mid,
Also,
late
wer
October.
es kennt, bei den größeren Konzernen,
You know,
es dauert
the
einfach
large
gerne
companies,
auch mal einen Monat, bis ein Server
things take
bereitgestellt
a
wird.
long time until
ist die
servers are
Gelegenheit
ready,
genutzt,
maybe months.
ab in die Cloud.
So we seize this opportunity
geht's.
to go into the cloud. Let's go.
Und erst einmal festgestellt,
And then we realized something.
ja, das ist viel.
Right, that's a
Da
lot.
gibt's viel.
There is a lot.
Letzte Zählung, deutlich über
Last,
200 Services.
Last time we counted 200 different services to have the right structure for a very still rough idea of a solution. That's not very easy if you are not very experienced. I want to highlight that workshops are very recommendable to receive such, to have such experience. So we were starting a search. We were looking for solutions. AWS offers a lot of information on their website, great websites. Pluralsight offers a lot of videos. YouTube, or you can even use Stack Overflow if nothing else works. And there are also other sources, colleagues.
Und die Kollegen haben dann auch den einen oder anderen
Colleagues might
mehr oder
have
weniger erwünschten Rat.
one or the other proposal that are welcome or not.
Menge, Vorschläge.
And we had a lot of proposals gathered together. For example, go serverless.
Letztens in meiner Schulung so gelernt. Da
I
kann
learned this in my last workshop. What can go wrong? It's faster, it's cheaper,
codet sich quasi von allein.
and we can code this, it codes itself, basically. And we come from a traditional Java string environment, Angular. We have done a lot with servers, container, Docker, and etc. And we were not very sure. So if we want to have AWS, we want the hot stuff, the new stuff, the trendy stuff. So we were thinking, should we do it on the cloud, but more like an infrastructure as a service, very traditional? We host our applications on virtual machines. We host our data on our other virtual machine, and then things will go smoothly. The advantage is we know how this works. We can do that, and we have all the knowledge.
Oder nutzen wir
Or should we use
knapp anderthalb
the 1 months we have, 1.5 months, to develop this and use with a serverless construct. Try to learn the ropes of it.
Sachen bereitzustellen und haben überhaupt keine Server, um die man
And
sich kümmern muss.
we don't have any servers at all that we have to take care of. According to homepage, their homepage is very easy to implement, it's very cheap, so we believe that.
Am Ende haben wir uns
But at the end of the day,
für einen Kompromiss entschieden.
We opted for a compromise. We said, let's use the best of both worlds. Let's have a foundation with technology that we know, with the backend hosting of us on the server. We have this at the front end with S3. And use a serverless service for the databases.
In dem Fall, ja, DynamoDB.
DynamoDB in this case. This is how we started to implement our architecture step by step. Of course, we wanted to save data or store data. We wanted to have our Java applications running. These data were also related to personal data, were personal, so we also had to encrypt them. We had to send emails. So here, this is another service we had to implement. So step by step, load balance, certificates, domain routing, front-end provision. So it's a wide array of things that needed to be implemented. And having a look at the final results, we see there are quite a few services, a mid-complex solution, and the CI/CD services, monitoring services, they are also added on top that we need to use if you want to be a professional using this platform. And at the end, you were at around about 15 services, and this corresponds to roughly 7.5% of what AWS is offering.
Und mit dieser Architektur, ich finde,
this architecture still looks quite pretty. You could implement that. So this is how we thought, yeah, this is a great idea. We were in time. We worked with AWS. We used the MHP platform. Well, we felt quite confident here.
an dieser Stelle würde ich
And here, I would like to end my presentation and say, well, great architecture. However, I promised something else. The question is, what is the general fuck-up? It looks great. You could do it like that. So what's the issue? After we finished our champagne and the hangover was gone, we opened our laptop and saw messages from our customer. They said, the app is really, really, really slow.
So langsam, dass man sie eigentlich nicht
It's so slow, you basically cannot use it. Every click takes 10 to 15 seconds until it's processed.
Ja, das war jetzt erstmal
für uns auch for us, that was quite a shock in the beginning. We could not believe that, because that's not what we were promised too. So we were serverless and everything is easy, so we had a look. So what's going on? Maybe it's our server, maybe we assumed the smallest part. Maybe that's the thing that's not working enough, but the server was still bored. So maybe server latency, everything was well. So one thing remained, maybe the databases, and they should be super fast according to what was promised to us.
Da lag leider dann des Pudels Kern.
But that's what the problem was. We saw in the database many inquiries were not processed, or just processed in a very choke on them. So how did we solve this problem? Or how did it come to this? Maybe you remember that we had this string framework and this repository DI that could be used with DynamoDB quite directly. So you basically don't have to change anything. So you can have these queries, you can look for example, with the boxes, look for something you have on the labels, for example, the address line. So when you have a look, very relaxed, well, we look at the boxes, we find the right box, we take them out, everything is fine.
Kam noch eine zusätzliche Anfrage rein.
But there was an additional inquiry from the customer. Hey, could you not also ask for this information? And we said, yeah, no problem. That's just one line of code. We don't have to implement this in the meta phase, so no problem. So we wrote this line, which looks like this, roughly, where we are looking for the category of the contents of the box. It's just a dash that was added, but what happens now?
Was wir ein bisschen unterschätzt haben und
something we underestimated, and we didn't see that because it's very abstract. The abstraction is different. At this point, when we have this query, we need to look into all the boxes.
Ein riesiges Problem.
And this leads to a problem, which is quite huge. But there's a nice thing to this problem. The problem is scaling quite well. With every new user, we have more boxes that we have to look inside with every click.
Jetzt hatten wir das Problem, die Anwendung war.
Now, this was the issue. The application was live, the users were already on board. Our provided capacity for the database was insufficient, completely insufficient. But luckily,
haben wir da eine Lösung gefunden.
we found a solution.
Und zwar ganz einfach im Interface.
In the interface, quite easily, we activated auto-scaling. I think that we thought that should do it, and it worked quite well. So the users were quite happy, great application, everything works.
Ich will jetzt niemandem zu nahe treten, aber ich glaube,
So I don't want to be too personal, but because other people were also happy with what we constructed, because the costs were also
gut entwickelt.
developing quite well.
Im Consulting sprechen wir hier.
In the consulting, we talk about a slight increase of costs.
Ja. Und der Schuldige, jetzt mal abgesehen von dem,
And who's responsible for this, irrespective of those who sat in front of the monitor? Well, was clear when you look at the allocation of costs or the distribution of costs.
Erstmal alles ziemlich blöd, ziemlich doof gelaufen.
That was quite
Alle traurig.
that was very unlucky. Everybody was sad.
Aber nun gut, so war es jetzt erstmal.
But that's how it was. So we could not change it. We couldn't just stop operations. So the costs were not offsetting quite well. It wasn't worth to invest 30 more developer days to reconstruct everything.
Schauen wir uns doch aber mal an, was eigentlich
But let's have a look what actually went wrong.
Wenn wir zurückdenken an
Looking back
Kollegen,
at thinking of our colleague that gave us the proposal, go serverless.
na, hat er natürlich auch ein klares Bild.
Well, they had a clear vision of what they were talking about, what we should construct.
Und wir? Und dieses Bild ist
What about us? I mean, what they thought about, this was a good picture, that was something that made sense. It was very sensible. On the other side, we also had a vision in mind.
Und was wir dann gemacht haben, ist, wir haben
So what did we do here? We tried to
Bilder irgendwie
have these two visions and to bring them together
ohne die Konzepte endgültig schon bis zum Ende des
without
Spiels zu haben.
thinking through all the concepts that are necessary. So this is how you can imagine it.
Ungefähr so. Ja, wir haben ein Datenmodell,
So we have a data module which did not fit
was wir
to
durchgezogen haben.
the things we implemented.
Aber was das Gute war, da
But that was a good thing.
jetzt das Problem richtig
By realizing the problem and by understanding what the issue was,
hatten wir auch eine leichte Idee.
we had a new idea on how to solve
Da
this.
war es relativ einfach.
In this case, it was quite easy. Why is that?
Sehr gut in der
Well, we have to praise ourselves because in the extraction level of the database, we were quite good with that. So on the fly, we were able to exchange then to migrate the data
ja, auf ein relationales Datenmodell.
and to have a relational database or data module. This is something which we designed,
Und ja, sofort
not on
waren
purpose,
alle
and at once,
Probleme quasi-
all the problems were solved.
Und wenn man sich das jetzt anschaut, ja, wir gucken uns die
So
Kosten, die
looking
waren
again
ganz
on the costs, of
angestiegen,
course, they
haben wir
increased
gesehen. Aber
slightly.
genauso nach dieser Änderung,
But
die
even
das
after all the amendments that we
beherrschbar war,
had,
sind die Kosten dann auch
you could see that the costs decreased again and were stable. And this is where,
natürlich haben wir nicht
which is something that's very important.
sondern
Of course, we did not
durch intelligente Optimierung
cause any costs by
90% unserer
optimizations that are intelligent. We could save 90% of costs.
gleichzeitig wachsende
At the same time, the users were growing, satisfaction was growing, and we could
und dementsprechend
onboard more customers, more people.
sich das am Ende für
So at the end of the day, it was quite profitable for MHP
AWS-Partnerschaft investiert haben.
to invest into a AWS partnership.
Was steckt da jetzt drin?
So what's in
Also
it?
wichtig ist, ja, wenn man etwas Neues
So
anfängt,
if you want to start with something new, if it's cloud business or anything else, you need to be aware
dass man Fehler
that
machen kann.
you might run into mistakes and make
Fehler gehören
mistakes.
dazu und die sind
And mistakes
wichtig.
are part of
Wirklich
life.
wichtig
They are
ist
important
aber,
even.
dass man versucht,
But what's
über
more
diese Fehler
important is
zu
to
sprechen, weil
talk
jetzt
about
haben wir
these
ein viel,
problems.
viel besseres
Because
Verständnis,
now we have a deeper understanding
die wir genutzt haben.
through the services that we used. And these mistakes will not
Jetzt kommt das
happen
wirklich
again.
Wichtigste daran.
And the very most important thing is, and let me tell you that, thank you,
Ihr könnt all das
you can have all this, use all this, all the mistakes you made, can stand here in front of people and sell this as an innovative presentation and tell your colleagues, hey, if you use these services, take care of them, use them correctly. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Hat noch gepasst, war ein bisschen länger, glaube ich, oder?